Welcome to Pac-Man Arena VR, written for the HTC Vive in Unity. Oh, actually, it could be any VR really, but yeah, we've tested on HTC Vive, and this is basically what we come up with. So it's all these assets we're seeing here. We've found all these assets on the internet. They were free royalty-free assets to help build the base of this game. See what we could do with a lot of free stuff on the internet. And essentially, the whole models of this, like that's all like basically an exact image, exact creation of the actual Pac-Man arena, exactly how it is played on the original arcade machines. The exact layout. And if you've ever never heard of Pac-Man, which I really doubt it, but basically what you do is you start off as a Pac-Man in an arena, and you have to collect these coins, and you have these ghosts that chase after you that run through the arena, and essentially you have to get all the coins before the ghosts touch you, and if you touch you, then you lose a life. You have a few lives, and usually about 3. In this case, we have 3, and if they touch you, then you'll die. And there's certain items you can pick up. Basically, that when you pick them up, the ghost will actually turn into what they call into a blue ghost, and he starts trying to run away. And if you catch up to him, Pac-Man can actually attack him. So that's sort of some of the game rules of how it works. And essentially, you just have to get all the coins before you run out of lives, and the ghosts attack you. So basically, in Unity, we have these things called game objects, which is on your left-hand side here. And in each of these, and this is basically what we call a scene. And this is basically, a scene is basically like your level. Basically, you have game objects inside your scene. And then on the left-hand side, these are all the game objects that will initially be created during the creation of the scene. And then in each of the game objects, we have things called components. And these components, they do sort of like certain pieces of work. For example, we have something called like a mesh renderer, which basically just draws a mesh. And has something called like a filter, which basically applies things like the coloring onto that mesh, and the texturing and stuff like that. And we have like a filter, which is actually the mesh object, which is like like an FBX file or something like that, which you can edit in something like Blender or something like that as a tool. As well as having all these inbuilt components, because there's a whole bunch of them you can just add in. You can write your own, and you can write your own using C#. And the programming language you use is C#. So I've got all my what I call them scripts here. There's quite a few here that do things like, for example, run the game logic, do the path finding of the ghosts, do, for example, the health system, so forth of Pac-Man. If he gets hit by the ghost, he's got to take damage and so forth. Also, most importantly, I've got a lot of code that's written that actually runs a lot of the virtual reality mapping. Now, here's the thing. You could actually use something called XR. This is a component that already exists in Unity. But what we found was that XR was only limited to doing certain things. We wanted to design a few things in our way, so we built some of the components ourselves from scratch that the XR is doing. For example, like I'm going to show you some. Like, for example, I call it the VR hand, which is like the XR ray interactor. Sorry, if you've ever used Unity, which basically does a lot of the teleportation hand. You can, like, when you press the button on the pad, a little teleport image. I'll show you actually what it looks like. This thing over here comes up and casts a ray down, and then this basically shows where you're like going to, so you can actually warp around the map and so forth with the hand controllers. I can show you the hand controls over here. I've got them. So of these things, so you point them down and you press the up button on that, and it allows you, or you can move around and so forth, and it controls the movement. So this is basically based on things like the headset. It'll move the character accordingly to where the headset moves, how the headset moves in the arena that I'm behind me, so forth. It tracks it and so forth. And I've written that code almost up. It does all that. Even though there's a framework I could do it with anyway fully, but we do piggyback onto XR anyway. So this is yeah, this has been something I've been working on for a couple of weeks now. This is about a couple of weeks of work. So yeah, I'll just give it a demo and show you exactly what it is. Oh, I'm going to show you some of the resources that we use to build it too as well.
They're coming. They got me again. Last lap too. Can we do this? Can we do it? I know, we can do it. Been tangled in the wires. One over there. Take this over here. Where's the last one? Come on!